Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Today, you are joining another episode of Dhammapariyesanā. Today's day 28. In today's discussion, we'll be discussing an interesting topic, which is really helpful for all of us. The topic is resilience. What is resilience, and why is it important to bounce back? Now, even though we face a lot of troubles, we are hardly able to bounce back because we sort of taken over by these troubles, issues. That's why we need to understand resilience. Resilience is being able to bounce back from that hurdle, that setback. I invited a special guest for today's discussion. She is Francesca Murray from Vancouver. Francesca was born in Guyana, a country in South America, and she immigrated to Canada, Toronto, and then she has lived in many cities ever since: Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. Now I think she ended up in Vancouver for her practice and all that. And she is a graduate of both Humber College and Ryerson University in Toronto. And she initially studied software, and then she was in this computer industry for some time, which she doesn't want to call now because she's always calling that is my previous self. But now she's on a different path. It is what we understand by her bio. And she calls herself someone who started her own inner work journey 8 years ago after an awakening experience. That's in 2011. And in 2014, while living in a homeless shelter, she was guided to create a free program that will assist men on their journeys, to which she successfully launched in 2017 with her own private coaching practice. So there are a few things that come up with her, the latter part of her bio. We want to know her inner work journey, which was started 2011. And I'm also kind of interested to know what is this free program that she was able to start for men while she was on that particular position, and about her private coaching practice. But main focus in today's talk is resilience, but I hope that she will explain a little bit about her life in those circumstances too, a little bit. Let me welcome Francesca Murray. Thank you for joining in.
Hi, thank you so much, Chandima. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
I am very happy to be here. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah,
Everyone
I can hear you very well.
me. Okay.
Okay, Francesca, would you first explain to us about your awakening experience and what happened after that to this day?
Okay.
In short.
Sure. So my awakening experience happened in 2011 when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, who's now 9. And in 2014, I moved to the homeless shelter. I ended up, due to circumstances, having to move into a homeless shelter for women and children. And it was during that time at the shelter that my real awakening started to happen, where I experienced a beautiful, enlightening experience in one of my group workshops. And that was where the Brothers in Arms Building Better Lives, which is a free program for men, that's where that idea was born. Even though I had this, 15-year corporate career, I felt everything about this felt right. I knew this was my purpose, this was my mission, and I had to get it done. And so the program I ended up successfully launching in 2017. And it was actually the manifestation and the creation of this program for men that resulted in my real awakening, because I went within myself. I thought, oh my God, if I'm going to teach men, then I need to be able to forgive everyone that I know. I need to be in that space of love, because that's the only way I can think of manifesting, such help, and being able to do such a good enough job, so that the men will actually come and they will experience healing. So as a result of that, I began my own inner work journey from the head to the heart, because I needed to find forgiveness for experiences and for people in my life that I had no idea how to forgive. And it was that where I started going within, and I started the self-realization, self-observation practice.
Okay, I mean, that has a lot of connection to resilience, right? Because you said
Yes.
you don't want to go back to your past. You needed to let go of that past and previous thing. Francesca, people wallow and people kind of disappointed of things that had happened to them in the past, so that they are in a hard time to get back, bounce back. Some people can, some people cannot. I think most people cannot, because they kind of like living in the past. In modern psychology, they kind of suggesting different ways for people to, get back on their life. But people are always with adversities, traumas, tragedies, threats. Kind of significant sources of stress. So they can take their mind off from these significant events. So I wonder how would you define resilience?
Thank you. So resilience for me personally is the ability to not allow the arising, or I call it the noise of the egoic state of mind, to derail me or distract me, from my state of awareness. Um, what that means is, the egoic state of mind, also known as, the monkey mind, is very noisy, and it has this tendency of creating stories, around everything, right? Um, I apologize, my phone rang. So it has this tendency for creating stories, and these stories are disillusioned. So they're all the illusion that pulls from our conditionings, our cultural conditioning, our trauma, and all of our suffering, to the point where it creates these stories. It became so good at creating these stories that we don't recognize that what it's telling us is actually lies. Essentially, it's not true, because what it's doing, it's guiding us how to feel, what to feel, when we should feel something. And those feelings are often what I refer to the pain body feelings, because they are not real. They are feelings and thoughts that have been programmed into us, that shapes our consciousness. And so the ability to recognize from this state of pure awareness, when those, the egoic state of mind is telling me what to think, it's creating stories, meaning making around what I should think, what I should feel, how I should feel, is for me the ability to recognize that being in the state of pure awareness is a state that I've managed to cultivate through meditation, a daily practice of meditation. It raises our awareness so that we can see through the veils of our, beyond the veils of, through our third eye, or the veils of our consciousness. It gives us the ability to pierce those veils of our consciousness so that we can see the truth and understand the truth, with understanding being the key, and compassion.
Understanding and compassion, they are key things.
Yes.
In someone being able to tap into resilience.
Yes.
Francesca, I have noticed that there are some apparent positive sides of being resilient, like when someone is resilient, that person can make realistic plans and take steps to carry them out. So that's one of the main things that I can see. I mean, if you see on a larger, broader perspective about this topic, and also being resilient makes someone, being able to being able to have a positive view about oneself. I mean, it's more about confidence about one's strengths and abilities. Also about communication, so skills in communication. A lot of people, when they are, struggling from these previous events, they are not able to communicate. They kind of like, hide. They kind of like, become, how do you call, more
Guilty and shame.
guilty and shameful, and become more introverts, and they are not able to even discuss their problems with other people. So it looks like that's someone who is resilient can have more skills in communication and problem solving, and a good capacity to have a good management of one's emotional intelligence. So, like, being able to understand what these feelings are. So, with this, aspect in the mind, how would you see that resilience is an important skill to cultivate in our daily lives? How would you take resilience as something which is important, as a skill in our life to cultivate?
Mhm. So when I think of resilience, to me, it's a state of pure awareness, right? And we can, for me, I cultivated this state through my daily meditation practice. Um, and meditation for me gave me the opportunity to look within myself and explore. It created enough space within my mind so that I can explore the shape of my consciousness in relation to my belief system. So all of my limiting beliefs and conditioning, which is a combination of our culture scape, in relation to the environment that I was raised in, how I was raised. These are all, and even in the education system in school, which tells us how to think and what we should become and all of these. So there was like truckloads, for the lack of a better word, of conditioning there that I needed to overcome by recognizing them, right? So when you can recognize where that where that conditioning comes from, where it's arising from, which is essentially the causation of our suffering. When you can recognize that, you have the ability to experience understanding, to bring understanding to that experience, which is very different from the stories that our egoic state of mind often tells us, and even very different than the stories that our pain bodies or conditioned mind tells us. And so the ability to see with the eyes of understanding, in relation to what exactly is happening. Everything is energy, and we are the manifestors of our reality, of our own suffering. And this is the highest expression of love that I want to talk about, because the ability to love ourselves unconditionally is the ability to recognize within us that, we and forgive ourselves with great compassion and understanding that we are who we are based on really essentially our training, right? Through culture and environment, our upbringing, childhood experiences, our trauma, which shapes us, shapes our consciousness, and through, again, I will always go back to meditation, because it is the only way you have the opportunity to sit with yourself, sit with these thoughts as they arise, recognize them, and bring that understanding. So what within me that attracted this experience, or how can I, why did that person behave a certain way? because we tend to go into this blame cycle. We have this victim consciousness. I call it victim consciousness mode, which we've all been conditioned into, right? And so we often look to the external world, for blame, and to blame somebody or to point a finger at somebody, when all of the arising of our suffering happens from within us, right? And because we don't know what to do, we often kind of fold. I refer to it like cocoon ourselves, right? Because we move into guilt and shame, when from time to time, pure awareness is always there. And sometimes we can recognize that, oh my goodness, what I'm doing isn't, it isn't good, or some, we always have that inner awareness. Higher consciousness is always there to guide us, but we've been conditioned to ignore it, right? And by doing so, we've accumulated this buildup, or this, what I call the giant pain body, with multiple faces, that the egoic state of mind, it dances wearing multiple masks, right? That essentially portray us in a way that it wants to show itself. So we're disconnected in essence, we're disconnected from the essence of who we truly are. As a result of that, we've been operating from our state of suffering. We have become our suffering. We have been serving unconsciously. We've been serving our own suffering without realizing that's what's happening. This is why we're unhappy. This is why we're become stuck, because we're in these patterns and these cycles that's driven by the egoic state of mind and the pain body.
So one of the things that you notice, what do you call conditioning, and people condition things, so they need to decondition, and they should have a mentality perspective to look within, rather look, from outside, because people normally look for validations from others, right? When they are when they are sort of not accepted by others, and they tend to sort of become more introverts. At the same time, they are not open to discuss their issues with other people. Francesca.
And there is an element of shame to not being open, and that shame is actually a deeper part of our conditioning. And a lot of that conditioning moves into the culture scape, comes from our culture, right? Not having our voice, not finding our voice, right? Being fearful, because at the root of everything there is fear, right?
Yeah. We have a different question about why people can. The next question for you, Francesca, can you share with us some important tips to be resilient? I mean, always talk about, couple main kind of fundamental kind of steps one can do, like, letting go, and mindfulness will help that, being compassionate towards you, self-compassion, and those kind of stuff. Would you share with us some of the basic, tips one can use to be resilient, in case they will become someone in a trouble, or they may be not in a trouble, but they should be able to know what they could do when the troubles hit them.
Absolutely. And again, I will go back. You start with meditation, right? And meditation. But what I've done, for anybody that's new to meditation in general, right, is I've used guided meditation. There's a huge collection of guided meditation by monks, and sutras, and all kinds of meditation available through YouTube. So I've used guided meditations when I didn't know how to meditate, because that's where I started.
Do you suggest a certain meditation? Because we know there are many teachers, but do you identify a certain meditation, breath meditation, or this meditation?
Concentration meditation. So sitting and just being the observer of your thoughts and whatever it is that's arising, And just being an observer. You don't have to react, you don't have to, just take mental notes, right? And then what I do after my meditation practice in with something like that is, after my meditation practice, I right away get my journal. And I journal, what are these thoughts that arise, during my meditation? Why are these thoughts arising? Who's telling me to think these thoughts? Because 9 out of 10 times, the who is telling you to think them, it's the ego. They're driven by the egoic state of mind, right? But then the most important question is, why am I thinking these thoughts? Why am I feeling this way? Who's telling me to feel? Because the why question gets you into the root cause of that conditioning. It's a very powerful, why is a very powerful question, because when you ask who and why, it takes you right into the root cause of your conditioning. So whether, it was through upbringing or wherever that conditioning or that programming came from, it will take you into that. And I continue my journal because I dive into that conditioning because I want to come into understanding of it. And the only way to understand, the root of something is by examining it, right? And I use my journal as a tool. So meditation, journaling, and cultivating for me also includes incorporating what I've learned. So, for example, let's say I examine and I have this limiting belief, I'm not good enough. For example, that's a great one because majority of humanity struggle with not being good enough, right? So let's see, I experience, this feeling of not being good enough. As a result, I keep, shielding myself, closing myself, shutting myself down. Well, where are these thoughts arising from? Right? I sit with all of my questions in meditation. In a way, I can easily say meditation is everything in the journey, and self-care. Self-care is also very important because it's an act of love towards yourself, right? It's an act of love and compassion towards yourself. And when you've learned how to care and to love and to be compassionate and understanding towards yourself, you have the ability to be understanding for every single human being on the planet, in the world. You have the ability to be compassionate. So meditation is my number one tool, and journaling as well, because journaling allows me to go deeper into the self-examination process, which I do right after right after my meditation practice. It's very important because the mind is still in that alpha state, right? And so your depth of clarity is a lot clearer. When with regards to meditation, I recommend doing it as soon as you wake up, first thing in the morning, when your mind is still in that deep alpha state. You can establish the best connection, anytime between 4 in the morning and I'd say around 6:30 is my recommended best meditation time. I can't hear you, Chandima, I'm sorry.
How does it work for someone who is not a morning person?
So, so I'll say two things here. So the most important part of, overcoming resilience is cultivating the right mind, right? Which is the right understanding. Because if you don't have the right understanding or the right mind in relation to what's happening within you, you won't be able, you'll be stuck. You will remain stuck in your cycle of suffering. Right? So how does this work for someone who isn't a morning person? This journey, inner work, if you truly want to be resilient, is about discipline. Discipline and practice, right? If you're not a morning person, it's okay to meditate in the evening. There are different I personally have favorite slots that I find I also experience powerful connections, like at around, I think 6 o'clock, sometimes 7, maybe 7:30 in the evening, but most importantly at night at around 11 o'clock, maybe 11:30, maybe 11:15 to 12, sometimes until 12:30 at night is also when you could experience that same depth of connectivity that you would experience in the morning. So I think, taking into consideration the different time frames throughout the day is very, very important, because these are different I call them like energetic openings, like portal openings that gives us this opportunity to help ourselves.
I think the most important thing with regard to finding tips or steps, to be resilient, is to put in our perspective, right? The perspective making is the main thing, because meditation, being compassionate, letting go, all that lead to creating the right perspective to bounce back.
The
So,
right mind, absolutely.
yeah,
And
right mind
the effort, yes. And the right
and
effort is important,
right
right?
effort. I think,
Because without effort, you have nothing.
yeah, and also this effort has to be consistent. Some people, they want to be diligent today,
Absolutely.
and tomorrow they are not. They can't make it happen.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So for myself, for example, part of my morning practice, it includes journaling, but there's also gratitude practice to that, right? And sometimes if I don't have the opportunity to do my gratitude practice in the morning, I do it in the evening at night before bed, which is very, very important, because gratitude is very expansive. So let's say, I even if I have, like, say I meditate in the morning and I experience great connectivity, great depths of clarity, you know. One of the things that I do is I write, I'm grateful. I allow myself to expand with gratitude into that energetic experience of, my connectivity and depth of connectivity. And I thank God, there are times when I've literally kneeled on the floor, I've kissed, kiss the universe, and I allow myself to expand bigger and bigger into that state of gratitude. It's very, very important part of our practice. When we're grateful, we expand.
Francesca, do you also think the struggle, that each one has a struggle when it comes to resilience, because they try to move away from, uh, you know, uh, from that struggle. So we don't know what struggle they are going through. So, I mean, how can we boil down this whole thing to specific terms? I would say there are people who may ignore their struggle, who don't want to accept that this is a struggle, that I wanted to face it. And there are some issues that we can avoid, right? Or the only thing that we can do is that we understand this happens and make give us some room in us, and then we think this happens and I have to make my mind up. And when it comes to letting go, it's a big thing for many. I mean, when you meditate, when you are grateful, you do all these things in terms of something that was in the past, or that's something at present. Now, if we take this letting go practice, how would you think why we need to let go in terms of becoming more resilient? And what's the connection between letting go and resilience?
Oh, letting go. When we let go of that which no longer serves us, we have now opened ourselves to the infinite possibilities of the universe and all the magic that it has in store for us.
Mhm.
And there's a lot that the universe have in store for us. We just become so blocked by the thoughts process, of our conditioning and the arising of our egoic state of mind and this pain body, which is a collection of our trauma, that we become blinded, we're not unable to see that. But when we let go, we now create room for the infinite possibilities that the universe have in store for us, because we can recognize and we start to become the creator of our own reality, right? Because when you cultivate your inner state is a reflection of a direct reflection, and you really come into understanding of this as you cultivate, is a direct reflection of your external reality. So change literally actually starts from within, So the more space we create within us, the less busy, and I can say we become on the outside.
Now, my next question is a combination of this question as well. Now, why people can really bounce back? Why people can be resilient? So I think there are many issues involved with this thing. I think we have to look
Yes.
at these issues, why people can let go, why people can be compassionate, why people can meditate. Because in order to get into the right view or right understanding, right perspective, one has to, look at why I'm not being able to, tap into resilience. So, what do you understand, observe, notice, you know, uh, as being setbacks for someone not to be able to bounce back?
Mhm. So setbacks
You
are,
you you mentioned one thing.
mhm.
You mentioned about what people always going through. I mean, they are conditioned. That's
Yes,
a good thing
enter
to start.
cycles
Good
of
place to start.
suffering. Mhm.
Hmm. Why people can easily bounce back? What are the things you notice in them?
Mhm.
Uh,
So for those whom I've noticed that have easily bounced back are people who are willing to I don't want to say take risk, but that would be, I guess, the Western terminology, right?
mhm.
Are those who have suffered so much, that our suffering actually is what leads to our awakening. We either become tired of suffering. We recognize that, oh my goodness, for myself it's like here was this vicious cycle of suffering every single year. The same thing was happening over and over again, and as a result of that, everything else that I had tried that was outside of myself, that I was taught to try, didn't work. Right. So for myself, the gift of an analytical mind, I guess, is a gift, and I know not everybody have that ability to be able to recognize that, right, and to be able to see with clarity that, oh my goodness, everything that I'm doing isn't working. So perhaps I should try something different, right? And for me, if I were, I would recommend definitely looking outside of your own belief system, right? There's many books now, so we've literally just entered the heart era, like full blown, right? There are many teachings, there are many books, there are many courses that have become available, actually, that teaches us about how we can experience everything from altered state of mind to you know um, being extraordinary, right? And so I would recommend doing something different than what you normally would do, as opposed to allowing yourself to fall into your old patterns of behavior, old patterns of thought, old patterns of feeling. Recognizing that, what is this doing to my body when I'm worrying constantly, let's say about money, or I'm feeling negativity, constantly. How is this showing up in my body? How is it impacting my physical health? How is it impacting my energetic presence, when I'm around people, right? So self reflection, again, a lot of these questioning, you could really go deep during journaling. So I highly recommend buying a journal and, start with the simple question, who am I? What brings me joy? Why am I here? Right? Because this journey is all about you. Change starts from within. It starts with you. And when you can love yourself unconditionally, you have the ability to love the entire world. So change starts from within. It starts with you. Learn how to give yourself that love and compassion and understanding and that forgiveness that you truly deserve, because you are beautiful. We are divine beings of love and light. We are divinity, That's the essence of who we truly are in our highest expression. Those are the experiences that we can attract to us in our day-to-day life. every day, right? This is why I start my day with meditation first. It gives me an opportunity to, set the tone of my day, and to really step into that state of presence, and I move with that state of consciousness. I move with that presence throughout my day, and I pay attention, to my heart. I always, like, it's like almost I'm visualizing my heart when I speak, or sometimes, to see where I'm at. I just always check in to see, because it's easy to start speaking, the monkey mind to take over without us realizing that it has, right? And it's only through meditation that you can get to a state of pure awareness. It's only through meditation that you'll be able to recognize the difference between a thought that's flowing from the egoic state of mind, or a thought that's a feeling that's arising from your pain body, versus, the universe, when we're receiving higher conscious wisdom. Meditation is the only way.
Only way.
That I've, yes, yeah.
Concentration meditation suggested.
Yes, because it teaches you patience, right? If you can meditate, let's say, for example, do a physical body relaxation exercise. That's the simplest one, for example, right? And you can concentrate, let's say, on just your skull, your forehead, your throat, but like from within your body, if you could do that without drifting. So one of my favorite meditations I receive as a gift, when I first started this journey from the Buddha thing, I'm very humble and grateful for that. I believe it's a purification meditation, right? And it's a meditation where I visualize the crown chakra opening up like a lotus flower, and this beautiful white beam of light from the cosmos just coming into the crown chakra. And I'm giving this meditation example because it's so powerful. It took me a while. Oh my goodness, it teaches you patience. It teaches you how to concentrate, because you have to visualize this light penetrating like the cells, your brain, your forehead, your eyes, and they become the light, your cheeks. So you move through the body from head to toe, step by step. And it's a great meditation because it shows you when the light is moving versus when your mind is moving the light. And because we've been conditioned into time and rushing, so sometimes I'd be, oh my goodness, no, the light is like way up here, but my mind is saying, yeah, filling out the, the torso. And so I would go back to here. And I would start all over again. Wherever I leave that light, that's the point that I move back to. And then I continue. It's my favorite meditation because, again, it taught me how to concentrate, how to be present, of course, present, become deeply present, and focus. There's many, many gifts to that meditation.
Francesca, do you also think that people don't understand what they normally do in their daily life is also a meditation? For example, like they eat, they cook, they drive. Don't you think that, I know that this is the kind of typical meditation that we ask people, hey, when you wake up and somewhere before you sleep, try to maintain a perspective to look within you. That's really great, appreciative. At the same time, don't you think that we have to bring this practice to our normal chores so that we will find this is not like a difficult big thing, in our daily life? Don't you think that there are other opportunities to bring this awareness into daily activities so that we are with meditation at all times, at least for the most part of the day, so that our mind does not go back to the past events that were conditioned?
Absolutely. Integration is everything in the journey. And that's when when we're doing, for me, cooking is alchemy, right? I tap into that presence. I have no idea what I'm going to cook, but it just happens because, my intention is I want to eat vegetarian. I want to have a better experience in my body. I want to, I want my energy to feel a certain way, right? So simple. When I cook, I turn on the sutras and the mantras and I'm chanting Om Mani Padme Hum goes into everything that I cook, is a great example. Or when I'm sweeping, when I'm sweeping the house, I in my mind, I'm moving energy. I'm clearing out the old energy that no longer serves me still. And same thing when I'm cleaning the house or I'm doing the dishes, and I'm being grateful at the same time too. I'm being grateful for the space, the shelter, I'm grateful for the food and the process of the food getting to me. I'm grateful, literally for everything, right? So a combination of gratitude and even as doing the dishes or sweeping the floors, right? Those are also forms of meditation.
Because people sometimes do these chores by putting blame on others. See, I mean, looking at the spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, you're not doing housework, right? I had to do all that,
and they get
So
and they become
stressful,
resentful. Yes, and it's sad because even I used to be in that state, where I had become very resentful to certain types of housework, and it took me years, believe it or not, to get to the point where I actually enjoy doing my dishes because now I'm doing it from a different, state of mind, right? From a different state of consciousness, and it's mindful, right? And it took me years to get to the point where, I enjoy doing laundry. So those are examples of areas where I had a lot of built up of resentment, right? Because of upbringing and, the way chores and the things that I had to do, right? So absolutely, you could, I call it mindfulness practices, right? Doing the dishes,
some
sweeping the
people call
floor.
them mini meditation, sacred pauses,
Yes, they are mini
mini
meditations because
meditation.
they're absolutely, because there are days like, let's say I woke up too late and I didn't get to do my morning practice. Now I've got to, get my daughter ready to take her to school instead, right? So what I do is, I'm like, okay, I know when I come back, the chance of me doing my morning practice is probably a lot slimmer because then I dive into the day. So what I do is the whole process of getting her lunch ready, I would cook for her, so she have fresh food for lunch, for school. So that whole process of preparing her breakfast, my breakfast, cooking, I turn on, the mantra again. I'm always listening to certain specific mantras and sutras. And again, they're all available on YouTube, as well as solfeggio frequencies. They're very, very powerful and can assist you with when you're shifting your state of consciousness, right? So yeah, there are days when we're so busy, I guess, we don't have enough time to sit for a 30-minute practice or a 1-hour practice. Although I highly recommend those, because when you allow yourself to just tap in and just fall into that state of that experience of just being, present and allowing yourself to just be the witness of not just, yourself, but if you can tap into the energies outside of you, you really start to learn a lot about the world, about everything. But going back to the basics again, like you said, Chandima, there are people who, yeah, they might not have a luxurious 30 minutes a day, to practice, not because they don't, but again, because the egoic state of mind tells them that they don't, because again, that's a conditioning, right? And we've been disillusioned by that conditioning, thinking we don't have time or thinking we can't meditate because, the mind isn't empty. No, the mind is noisy for years. It takes
They don't
time
know
for
how
the mind.
powerful their minds are.
Exactly, and it takes time for us to empty that. It empties itself. I always say, we don't empty the mind. The mind empties itself each time we come into a new level of understanding and we dissolve an old belief or, pain body, right, of some sort.
My last question, Francesca. Let's talk about the benefits of resilience. I'm just wondering, people. Those who watch our discussion today. What if someone, stuck with his own or her own trouble and wanted to be resilient, wanted to bounce back, and they might be excited, about this new transformation. So if we can, if we could a little bit talk about some of the very apparent benefits of being resilient, what could
So you're
someone?
breaking up. Hang on. You're breaking up. Hello?
Yeah, I could hear you. That was a technical.
Okay, yeah, sorry, you were breaking up. A technical difficulty, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mind
So,
asking the question again? I couldn't hear you.
could you a little bit explain about some of the benefits of being resilient? Some of the main key benefits.
Absolutely. The benefits are extraordinary. You become present with your highest conscious expression and experience of the entire universe. So you become one, you become present. And you move from a life of suffering to a life of ease and grace. Just pardon me, I'm going to drink a little water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you move out of your life of suffering to a life of more ease and grace and flow. You start to realize that there is no need to rush. Time isn't going anywhere. And the more present you become, the more grateful you become, the more addictive it actually is. You don't want to go back when you start, right? So the benefit is the fact that we become, one with our highest conscious expression and experience. We become one with the essence of who we truly are. And from that state, we experience our highest experiences of love.
Okay.
Unconditional love.
That makes sense.
And
Thank you.
you get to shape your life however
Very
you
interesting.
wish. Yes,
Yeah,
you
because
get to shape your life however you wish. You can do anything that you dream of.
people who are struggling with their issues, troubles, they are not in their shaping their life. So
No,
when they
the
understand,
issues are shaping their life instead.
yeah,
Yes,
and
when they
then when
can make that flip.
when they combine this resilience and all these practices, compassion, gratitude, mindfulness, they getting their life is getting in real shape.
Absolutely,
Francesca,
they're in control.
one last question.
Sure.
This is not a question about the discussion. I would like to know, if you could delineate a little bit about your private coaching practice. What do you offer? I'm not asking our followers to just look into that, but I just wonder what you would mean by private coaching practice. You can explain in short.
Yeah, so basically, I guide people through, or clients. The monk said I should refer to my clients as student because client is a very Western word, whereas student. So I guide students through their inner work journey from the head to the heart. So I teach them how to develop that, cultivate and develop that right mind, that right understanding. It's essentially following the practices of the Eightfold Path, right? And so we move through that path, but from within oneself.
Head to toe.
Pardon?
Head to heart, not head to toy. I'm
Yeah, head
always
to heart. Oh, yes,
head
yes,
to toy, not head
definitely.
to heart.
It's
Head to heart.
short distance, but the longest journey you'll ever make in your life. Believe me, I'm still on mine. I'm still on the path too,
Okay.
right? So I guide, yeah, my clients through their inner work journey from their head to their heart, so that they can become the highest, their highest expression of themselves, and they can experience the magnificent, infinite possibilities that this world have to offer. There's so many gifts, we just don't realize that. So that's the shortest explanation of what I do in my private practice.
Thank you, Francesca More. Thank you so much. Dhamma followers, Francesca's father passed away a couple of months ago. That was a sad time for her, especially during the COVID time. And we pray, we send our good blessings towards your father for his life. At the same time, thank you very much, Francesca More, and she's joined from Vancouver, Canada. And thank you everyone for watching today's discussion, because we've been talking about what is resilience and why is it important to bounce back. So no one deserves to be stuck in their struggle. They really need to bounce back. It is possible. It is a possibility. The only thing is that you don't think that it is possible. One of the main things that we wanted to tell you is that in this discussion, that you need to make that move from struggle to resilience. That's what we really expected in today's discussion. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for
Absolutely.
another episode with this Dhammapariyesanā series. Have a good evening. Have a
Thank you
good
so
afternoon.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Francis.
so much, Chandima, and thank you everybody for watching. And you can connect with me through Chandima if you need to ask any more questions. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Take care.
Namaste.
Stay.